Hi, I'm Kylie.
Hi, I'm Hifsa.
Hi, I'm Mr. Long.
And welcome to The SLAP, the Student-Led Action Podcast.
Our mission is to talk to as many Colonia students as possible with different views and backgrounds to try and get a better understanding of our school's community and the different ways to bring about change for the better.
Before we start, this is a safe space, so when we usually have discussions, you can chime in. Colorism is seen everywhere. It's seen in different cultures. So we're just going to be talking about that today, and you can just put out ideas out there and just be respectful.
Colorism is a look at skin color discrimination. So basically, colorism is being prejudiced or discriminating.
What you're hearing right now is Jasmine and Anaya from the CHS Black Student Union giving a presentation on colorism.
The BSU's mission statement is to foster creativity among the student population, promote and preserve Black culture, and to spread awareness and knowledge throughout our CHS community.
The BSU wants to create and build a diverse and inclusive environment at CHS, engage members of all ethnicities and race in a joint effort to bring about unity for all students, and to empower the voices of African American students at CHS.
BSU President Jasmine Turkson told us that one of the main motivators for getting the club started this year was the Black Lives Matter protests in the summer of 2020.
What made me want to be a part of the BSU was during the summer, seeing everything that happened from George Floyd to Breonna Taylor, Black people that suffered from police brutality. It made me, as like a young Black woman, want to do something and create a change for the people in my community. And seeing that my school didn't really, have a union or a club that serves to that purpose, I wanted to create a club that does that.
Today we'll be interviewing the advisors and members of the Colonia High School Black Student Union Leadership Council, who have re-energized the club during the COVID-19 pandemic.
But first, we spoke to Miss Davison and Miss Reagan, the faculty advisors for the CHS BSU, about their roles within the BSU and their hopes for the future of the club.
Hi, I'm Miss Davison, and I'm the advisor of the Black Student Union at Colonia High School. I first became the advisor because I wanted to help be a part of the change in our school community. And I am learning along with my students, and I am happy to empower them and give them a space where they can have these conversations and truly be the change.
Hi, my name is Miss Reagan, and I'm the co-advisor to the Black Student Union at Colonia High School. I became involved with this club when Miss Davison asked me to take this on and just be a positive role model for our students and just to learn more about what they have to say, experience they've had, and just to create a safe space where our students can share.
Okay, so I want to start off with asking you, since we are in virtual learning, how has creating the BSU in a mostly online environment differed from more traditional in-person clubs? And do you feel that there's anything lost by not being able to interact with the students in a physical space?
So BSU is led by a group of very ambitious and solid members and students. So actually with this club, I don't feel like much is lost with this online environment. If anything, the only thing that's lost is making sure that the rest of our student population knows about our club. And then the ability to take these trips to like an African American museum or to the shelters itself when we wanted to do our winter drive. But the authenticity of the club, the conversations in the club, the comfortable space that's created, it's genuinely a good space for our students. And they do a great job of creating that space so it doesn't feel like anything is lost. And I do have other clubs where they don't do it the same way. It kind of takes some prompting. But because of the students that are in this club, it goes smooth sailing. I don't feel like anything is lost.
So moving on to the next question, related to that first question we asked, has gathering attention and support for the BSU been impacted in any way due to not seeing everybody in CHS in person?
I definitely think that perhaps some underclassmen may not be aware of the club, or I'm sure that there is a population of students that don't know that the club exists. But I think the BSU leadership team is so diverse and well equipped to spread that message that I do think they are doing a great job of promoting the club, creating the videos to draw attention to the club, sharing their messages on their social media. So while I don't think we have full enrollment yet, because sometimes that comes with the activities that we do as well, and we can't do any in person. So I think that they're doing a great job with promoting it verbally and via social media and via those videos. But of course, there's probably some students that we're not reaching or that would be more inclined to join after they see some of the events that we hold when we're back in person.
And one thing that we've had is that there have been a few students who've shown up around. I mean, a few weeks ago, we've had a couple new students, so that's been really interesting and exciting to have students who weren't there since the beginning. Our students are spreading the word about this club, and they're showing an interest, so they're joining, which has been cool.
And what do you hope students joining and partaking in the BSU learn?
I hope that students find a space where they can be heard and also empowered by one another. I think the biggest component to this club is just the education and the empowerment that we receive from one another. I really enjoy the safe space that it creates and the ability to have these conversations, specifically as it relates to African American history and racial identity and biases. And cultural similarities and differences. So I think that learning is the biggest component, and making sure that there's a space for hearing the students and empowering one another.
So how have discussions and events thus far in the BSU been helpful to the student body?
When we first started the club, Jasmine Turkson presented the idea of making sure that we focused on African American history. As a student in high school, I did also resonate with the fact that history was kind of a subject that I wasn't too thrilled about. And so I thought that it would be cool to make sure that we discuss African American history, but we also discuss the way that it impacts society today. And I think that that component really draws the students in and helps us to really be part of that change that we wish to see. So I do believe that the students have created such a space that all of their voices are heard and they're learning at the same time. And they're able to have these conversations that really tells them about themselves and the perspectives of others. That's really enlightening and empowering and refreshing to hear. It creates this refreshing space. So I think that the students are coming together, and at the same time, they're also creating awareness in their individual communities outside of the club, with their peer friends, with their families. And they also participated in the full event of Black History Month. So they created their own instructional videos about some of the topics and influential people in African American history, infographics that we'll be pushing out across all subject areas, as well as on all of our social media platforms. So they're doing a lot of learning and also teaching, which I think is the best part. And their hope is to also help the middle school and elementary school maybe have some of this learning happen at their level at an earlier age. So hopefully these resources that they start to create in this club can be used across other schools and really be the model for other schools and other grade levels.
How would you like to see the BSU progress in upcoming years?
I would like to see the BSU continue to grow and be used in the school community as well as the Woodbridge community. I think that the diversity that is on our team and the skills that they already have in confronting some of these topics and discussing some of these topics are something that we could all learn about. Our school community, our teachers, adults, leaders, school leaders, everyone can learn from these conversations that our students are having, and hopefully the diverse perspectives and the honesty that our students share can translate to some real change. I would like to see them, in assemblies and in projects that focused on creating these changes. That's my vision with them. And I hope that it's sustained and it lasts as its true nature, what it's created for years and years to come.
Yeah, I hope that by what we've done so far, that, like Ms. Davison said, for years to come, that the idea of just having a conversation and talking about these things and sharing stories continues, and that students become more confident to do that.
So a similar question, what goals do you have for future BSU students?
I hope to continue bringing about certain ideas that we want to see in our school culture and education that we want to have, being able to have those real conversations as it relates to African American history and its impact on society. I hope that continues. And as the years go on, I hope that some of the examples that we're sharing about impacts of colorism or racial tensions starts to dwindle, because these conversations are so regular and true change is starting to happen. That's what I truly hope. I hope we move from all of these experiences that our students share that may be negative to some of the positive changes that we have taken as a society on the right side of history. That's what I truly hope to see with the BSU students, as well as taking trips and making these events that we wish to have, like collections and homeless shelters, and really going into our communities possible.
If someone were to try and find the BSU online, where could they find them?
Someone can look on my Google site. If you go to the Colonia High School page and look up Miss Davison, there's a tab for BSU. The Remind is there, and they just have to join the Remind, and I send a Google Classroom code. We also have social media.
If you want to follow the Colonia High School BSU, you can follow them at Twitter and Instagram with the handle at BSUATCHS. That's at BSU at CHS.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, and I'm the president of Colonia High School Black Student Union.
Hi, I'm Anaya. I'm the vice president of BSU.
Hi, I'm Christia, and I am program coordinator for the Black Student Union.
Hi, I'm Haral. I am the secretary.
Hi, I'm Taina, and I'm a recruiter for BSU.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and I'm the project coordinator for BSU.
Hi, I'm Hamza, and I'm another recruiter for BSU.
Hi, I'm Catherine, and I'm a project coordinator for BSU.
Okay, so to start off, I wanted to ask you guys, what is a Black Student Union, and how does this specific Black Student Union function in Colonia High School?
Black Student Union for me is a community where you get to come together and discuss racial issues that have been going on. As we know, during the summer, there was a huge issue with African Americans and just society. It's always been here, but the club itself, it's welcome to everybody. We just talk about present issues, issues that bother us, and we're able to just relate, communicate, and let go of our feelings and emotions, and also inform people of what we do and the issues that are present in society today.
Black Student Union is a place where we're able to discuss and inform each other on issues relating to racism and educate others and come together and empower each other's voices.
Black Student Union is, like they said, a place to discuss. And I find that really important because I feel like mental health in the Black community is like taken very lightly. Like it's not, people see mental health as something that's for crazy people, that it can't really affect Black people. And I feel like we need to have these conversations and share experiences because, that's what makes a community.
Yeah, basically everything that Anaya, Ashley, and Hamza said, like Black Student Union to me is like a place where we can all come together and discuss like racial issues and stuff that are happening in Black communities and even communities of color. And like with the things happening over the summer, I felt like it was so necessary that our school like had that type of club, the Black Student Union, so where people who felt like they didn't have a voice can like have a voice and we can empower them, to make a change.
Yeah, it's definitely a safe space where we can all come together and talk about racial issues and what's going on in the world. And it's just a place where we can kind of get our thoughts out and educate other people and get people aware of what's going on and also to empower everyone else.
It's really just like a place where you can feel comfortable enough to express how you felt like just overall about specific situations that are going on politically or just in the world, and where you can just express yourself and tell other people how you really feel.
Yeah, like the club is really to get uncomfortable. Like the phrase that gets brought up a lot during our club meetings is, in order to be comfortable, we have to talk about uncomfortable discussions first, because a lot of the discussions we have is considered like taboo to talk about in like classroom settings. And in order to learn and to get comfortable with these topics, we have to talk about it. We can't just like put it aside. So this club is doing exactly that, like talking about it and not putting it aside.
And we really are just like trying to make change, not only for Black people, but for everyone all around us. We really just want everyone to feel comfortable with each other and to accept each other for who they really are.
So what specifically has made each of you wanted to join in the Black Student Union at Colonia?
For me, I joined because I wanted to be more educated about what was going on, and I wanted to, connect with my peers, and I wanted to understand how they were feeling, especially during the summer, because it was, a lot of emotions were brought up, and it's just, it's a good way to understand what's going on in the Black community, to get educated, and to just, connect one-on-one with our peers and to get to understand how everyone's feeling.
For me personally, growing up around here, it was a little difficult being able to express myself without being viewed differently. And I've noticed I had a lot of racial issues growing up that I was never able to express or were pushed under the rug. So hearing that there was a club for me to go to educate others and also to get educated myself, it was just an amazing opportunity that I had to jump on.
Yeah, I found it as a great opportunity to hear others and educate myself, and also show that I want to be an ally to the Black community and show that I can represent them and stand up for them. And it's also a really great way to share our voices, empower ourselves, and be heard, and have somewhere where we can all talk about these issues and make change.
I wanted to join the Black Student Union because personally I will know about Black issues and stuff, like whatever in the news and the headlines, but in my daily life I don't really know too much about Black issues or like Black people's perspectives. So I wanted to join this club to like further educate myself and be more conscious of racist things and different perspectives, that every group has a like diverse perspectives to hear from, because I really don't feel that like I get the chance to learn from that every day. So I want to take time out to learn from the voices of Black people and people of other cultures.
I honestly was just really frustrated with everything that started to happen. So I was like, if I want change, I have to be the change and I have to put my words into action. And so this club is the perfect opportunity. And growing up in this town, it's not exactly extremely diverse. So it was also a place where I could find other people who are just like me who can relate to how I've always felt growing up.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone was saying, and going back to what Anaya and Tayana was saying, necessarily for me, it wasn't joining, but it was I wanted to create a safe space where people can come after school and talk. And not only this, but I had came to Colonia my second year, so it was very different from where I grew up. And I would walk around and Tiana was saying, I didn't see people as much who looked like me or people who I could relate to. So I was so seeing all that happen over the summer and seeing that we didn't really have a voice at the school, I thought it was really necessary to create a space where we can get people to come and talk and it doesn't have to be pushed away how it is on a normal basis.
For me, after seeing what happened last year, I felt that I had a responsibility to join and be part of something like this. And also it was about personal growth, because I really didn't like who I was, so I had to change and become someone else.
I know what it's like to feel alone, and that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to join BSU, to let my my boss to know that they aren't alone, the Black community, that they aren't alone, and that I will be here to help amplify and learn and educate myself on their issues and help to make sure that they aren't struggling alone, and that I will do whatever I can to help them.
Yeah, and I also think it's a great opportunity for me to help kids who are younger than me, that they don't have to go through the same thing that I did, and they can feel accepted, and that they can talk about topics that make other people uncomfortable, to make themselves feel more included.
I agree with what everyone's been saying. I specifically agree to Jasmine, because in middle school I came from a totally different community, and when I first came I was looking around too and seeing a bunch of people who were just not like me at all, and I felt like no one could relate to me if I were to use my voice. So my next question is, what discussions in the BSU have been most memorable or impactful to you?
My most memorable topic was the first meeting I've joined. I believe we were just talking about being able to, we were just talking about how Black people feel uncomfortable in society, and how I'm trying to word it. I forgot how we worded it, but how white people try to change their ways to fit the Black persona. And the whole meeting was just amazing. I love Ms. Davidson, the whole conversation, everybody in there, even people who weren't Black, they've noticed that they've done that before, and they noticed their wrongs. And to see that people changed and were able to acknowledge what they did wrong was crazy. It was amazing. I feel like sometimes when I'm trying to make a change on myself, I'm talking to a brick wall. But to see in that conversation that day, everybody was absorbing the information and sharing their experiences and how it changed. It was just amazing.
Yeah, for me, one of the most memorable topics that we covered in BSU was, I think it was one of our first discussions we had, and it was about implicit bias and implicit biases that people can have. And it was just very nice to see everyone, including myself, kind of realize and look at these biases that we may have within us that are just subconsciously happening. And then it allowed me and everyone in the club too to kind of reflect and also correct them and try and figure out where these biases are coming from, so that way moving forward they can be better and they can know that these biases are not necessarily them in a sense. It's not really, it's just a subconscious thing. And it's just better because it helped me, and I hope it helped everyone else who was there at the discussion, just see and realize and correct these things about themselves so they can be better moving forward.
One of the most memorable meetings I remembered was the one time where we talked about the lack of representation that like we have when we grow up. So like if we look at dolls, it's like mainly white like Barbie dolls, you know, and then like on TV too, there was a lack of representation for like a lot of the cultures. And then we started to talk about the beauty standard and how it was just mainly European beauty standards that are like being promoted throughout media. And then all of a sudden everyone just started complimenting each other and like tearing down those standards that we had. And I thought it was just so beautiful to see that like everyone was just lifting each other up, and how we were able to just be there for each other and like realize like how much I guess the media has an effect on all of us, and that like we know it's wrong, and like we can like those little things like complimenting each other could like make a really big difference.
One of the most memorable discussions that we had was where I was listening to some of the other people of color in the club, and they were sharing their experiences on how they would, when they were younger, they used to think about changing their skin color and wanting to be lighter or wanting to straighten their hair. And it was really memorable for me because I never realized that people like my friends and my peers at school and classmates were ever feeling that, and I never knew that's what went on in their heads. And so it was really eye-opening and really really interesting to see, and I thought that was really impactful and something that I remember really distinctly from our discussions.
I think my most memorable meeting was really when we were talking with Mr. Panko and Miss Murphy, and they asked us, what are some things you would like us to change to help you guys learn better, I guess. And I really appreciated how they listened to us and they really cared about what we were saying, and they wanted to help us, make change for the school and to help educate others. I felt like we were really being heard, and I think that's one of the most important things, that you feel heard and you feel like you matter and what you're saying matters.
Kind of jumping off from the question that we just had, what discussions in the BSU are you looking forward to, or what kind of topics would you like to talk more about in the BSU?
For me, definitely about colorism, because that's something very prominent, not only in the Black community, but everywhere for everyone. And I think that's a really important topic. And the stereotype that Black women are very aggressive, but compared to other women who are very soft and cute, and how that really affects Black women mentally. So I think those are both really important topics.
Another topic I think that is important, since a lot of us are going to be able to vote in 2 years, is learning about types of policies and stuff, and how they disproportionately affect people of color and people in low-income neighborhoods and all that, right? If anything, if we hear anything in the government or anything happening, that even if it's doesn't something that we can do about it, I think we should dig more deeper into laws, even if it doesn't seem on the outside it's racist, but to see its racist effects and stuff, so then in the future we can make more educated choices in politics and see how it affects the people around us. Because it's not just about us talking about the social issues, we're interacting. I really think we need to politically also examine that other side and educate ourselves. because a lot of the times this type of stuff is like put at the back, and you don't really see the effects of it or anything. Like when you're voting, you only find out about it like after you're done and you're like living in the effects, and you're seeing like, oh, this is going to affect me, this is going to affect people who look like me. So I really think we should talk about those types of policies.
I'm looking forward to the history aspect of it. We're going to be covering the Willie Lynch, the making of a slave, which he was able to psychologically control African Americans for at least 300 years. There's a whole proposed letter. I believe it was made in 1712, and we're going to be covering that soon, just to talk about everything that he said in his letter still applies to today's community, and it's thickly almost how it's still here, it's still present, and how he was able to control us for that long. So if we're able to break down the history and see where it comes from, we'll be able to change.
I as well want to know more of the history aspect and things that happened back in the day and may not necessarily be happening right now, but what it affected and how those things are rooted out of racism and how it's affecting people in our everyday lives, people of color in our everyday lives.
Yeah, I was going to mention the history aspect too, mostly because, we talk about it in history class, we talk about slavery in history class, but we never really cover it to its full extent. Throughout the months and everything, I've done more research on it, and there's so much that I have not learned in my history class, and there's so much more that happened to it. And I feel like it's really important to talk about those things, because history class, I feel like, isn't enough to kind of cover just how serious of an issue slavery was, and again, also, like Ashley said, how it's still impacting us to this day.
Yeah, I'd also like to talk about the history part now that you guys brought it up, and how, honestly, slavery and Black history has been very watered down and whitewashed and, turned and flipped to fit the stereotype, I guess, that, no, that's not the right word.
Or make it more comfortable for white people to read about.
Yeah.
It's like To Kill a Mockingbird. They pretend like they're all about slavery, like anti-Black and stuff, but they're only doing it from the comfortable perspective of a white person with white saviorism, which is why I hate the English class books.
Yeah, I feel like it's been very watered down just to make other people feel more comfortable and to make them, think, oh, now we're living in a happy land, it's a wonderful life. And I'd really like to just address how that's not true, how Black people are still disproportionately affected. It's a very big thing, and it's still going on. So
I wanted to take it back to when we were talking about Colonia High School and how people are in our high school, and I wanted to ask, how would you guys like to see the Black Student Union change Colonia High School's environment?
Personally, I don't really want people to feel divided. I don't want them to think, oh, the club's only for Black people and to talk about Black people's issues and stuff like that, because that's not what it is. It's really for everyone and everyone to discuss anything and everything and to just speak their truth. And I just want everyone to feel like they are welcomed everywhere, not even just in the club, in other clubs, in classes, in sports.
Yeah, I definitely want it to bring unity across Colonia High School, and so that people, feel like they're not alone, and people know that there are others, we all just kind of come together to empower each other and unify each other, and also just to educate each other. And yeah, because I feel like it would just make Colonia High School a much safer space, a much more comfortable space for everyone, and it would just improve the overall environment if we all just came together and were educated and were aware of things that were going on, and we're just unified.
Colonia High School loves to say, be the change, and I want us to be the example, that high school that other high schools want to follow after. little baby steps by changing the way, because Colonia, it does have, sadly, a lot of racism, a lot more. It's more apparent. And I want us to be the change. I want us to see our issues, resolve it, and be an example to the other high schools and high schools across the world, basically.
I want it to be a voice for the school and something that represents people of color and gives them a voice and allows us to educate ourselves and our school in order to create a safer environment where people are more comfortable with themselves.
I really wanted to like break down and take down the tension that is in our school, and I feel like there is a lot of racism, but most of it is ignorance. I feel like there's a lot of tone-deaf people that really don't know what the things they say, how their actions affect people, and just I think it's because they grow up around people. They don't grow up around people that don't look like them, and so they just think it's okay because it's not being checked.
I hope the BSU could help, change Colonia for the better, in which, we can have more people who are not more people who aren't only Black, but like white, Asian, and come from like different backgrounds join the club and are willing to like get educated. That way, when they're like educated and they know that these things so and so are wrong, they can help spread awareness to like their friends, families, and that's how we start creating change slowly.
One of the goals that I think I have for this club is I'd like it for it to educate people, so they can some people are like they have that ignorant thought and stuff. So I would like my club to educate them so they can get out of that ignorant thinking and actually be educated and see the things that are going on in our world and see that they can make a change with their voice. Even a simple post or just saying something can make a big difference.
Yeah, I hope the club is able to just educate more people on issues and become more aware of usually the bubble that they're stuck inside of, and because a lot of the times a lot of people are just stuck in their own bubble and what they grew up with, and just don't notice other people's perspectives and backgrounds. So to make sure that it's we show that there are different problems that all of us face, and that these problems are able to be fixed if we can all just come together, recognize those problems, and be the change for those problems.
Okay, so moving on to our next question. What would you say to a student to encourage them to join the BSU?
I would say if you want to create change, if you want to be better and do better, you should join the BSU because it's important to educate yourself and it's important to stand up for what's right.
I know so many people who genuinely don't care about what's happening. And by all means, that's your opinion. But if you really did care about your friends, if you really did care about your teachers, care about people around you, you should take the time out of your day to just listen. Just take time out of your day to educate yourself, to avoid situations where you could ruin your future, avoid situations where you can ruin friendships. Be the change for yourself. Little things count.
I'd probably tell someone if you really want to express yourself and just how you felt overall, or if you want to help make change and make other people more comfortable and make everyone just more self-aware, then the BSU is the perfect place for them because that's really what we're trying to do.
I would say that, history is always in the making. And if you want to be on the right side of history and make change, we are the club for that. Because we aren't just here to, yes, we are here to just talk about the problems, but also just make sure that we come up with solutions too and act on those solutions.
I would say it's definitely an inclusive and safe space. Anybody is welcome. Because I feel like the more people that we have, like if we surround ourselves with diversity and stuff, we're not like subjected to like only knowing one thing, one race, one this. Like we see everyone and all of us can help spread change.